Hello everyone and welcome to our live coverage of Starlink Group 17-4 mission launching from the west coast, that is from Pad Space Launch Complex 4 East at Vandenberg Space Force Base in California. If this is your first time here, hi, my name is Dipta Maitra, performing the commentary for today's mission launch, and you are watching AstroYonder live.
Roger, 0G, and I feel fine. Capsule is turning around.
Houston, we see a nominal MECO. Welcome to space.
Hope you all are doing fine and excited about the upcoming SpaceX Starlink launch. It's been a while we didn't saw any of the Starlink mission, but finally here we are. Super excited bringing you the coverage of SpaceX's 526th overall launch and the 98th Falcon 9 launch of this year. SpaceX just hit their 100th mission launch this year with the recent KF2 mission, that is for the launch of Kuiper satellites, the planned 2 of 3 launches by SpaceX for Amazon Project Kuiper. Now Falcon 9 is awaiting to reach the same milestone with just 3 more launches to go to reach the 100 mark for this year. Today it's the 34th launch from Vandenberg for SpaceX as they continue building their incredible launch cadence for the year. Today's launch is a special one as it marks the 5th Starlink mission to a Sun-Synchronous orbit, with the first being Starlink Group 17-1 launch in over 2 years since 2023 Group 3 launches with version 1.5 Starlink satellites. This is also the 5th time the version 2 mini variant is heading to a Sun-Synchronous orbit, and this launch is significant as it targets a near polar orbit with a 97.6 degrees inclination designed to enhance Starlink's coverage over remote polar regions specifically. Previously, the recent Starlink Group 13-4 also got launched to Sun-Synchronous orbit with the same inclination, that is 97.6 degrees inclination. We will dive into the details shortly, but currently right now we are standing by for a Falcon 9 liftoff at 10:05 p.m. Pacific time on Wednesday, August 13, 1:05 a.m. Eastern Time from California, that is on August 14, for a southwesterly launch for SpaceX Starlink mission. Today's Starlink mission Group 17-4 will launch a batch of 24 Starlink satellites to low Earth orbit. Now, before we dive into the mission details, on behalf of AstroYonder team and our awesome moderators, thank you all for joining us for today's launch. We are so grateful to have you as part of the stream. Really appreciate you being here. Also, a huge shout out to our amazing YouTube community for the support as we bring you detailed coverage of space launches with all the stats and in-depth insights. Really grateful to have you all with us as we count down to the liftoff together. Would really appreciate if you guys could join the chat and let us know from where you are joining us. Also, please feel free to share any questions, suggestions, or opinion with us that will help us to improve our stream, to know you, and as well as your perspective. We would love to hear from you guys. Now, just a heads up, it's me only managing the launch coverages on my own, so if by chance we face any technical issues, please bear with me. There is absolutely nothing to worry about. You won't miss out anything. I will do my best to guide you through the Falcon 9 rocket launch happening in approximately 43 minutes from now. SpaceX is, once again, just a reminder, SpaceX is currently targeting a liftoff time of Falcon 9 from Vandenberg Space Force Base at 10:05 p.m. Pacific Time on Wednesday, August 13, 1:05 a.m. Eastern Time on Thursday, August 14th of 2025. Now let's get back to today's mission details. As we don't receive the launch weather forecast for Vandenberg flights from 45th Weather Squadron, but so far reports suggest that the weather is looking good for today's Falcon 9 launch opportunity and the range is ready to support. Weather officials keeping a keen eye on the weather for any probability of launch weather constraint and range violations. The forecast calls for a temperature of 15 degrees Celsius, broken clouds with 77% cloud cover and a wind speed of 14 miles per hour. But anyways, we hope that they will be able to launch on time and not have to push off too far. But if for some reason the launch does not happen today, we do have a backup opportunity tomorrow. Although in the previous recent Vandenberg flights, we saw the SpaceX adjust the liftoff time, getting close to the end of the launch window. But as of now, they are sticking with their current liftoff time of 10:05 p.m. Pacific Time, 1:05 a.m. Eastern Time. Now let's take a look at the payload details for Starlink Group 17-4 mission. Now before discussing about the payload, just a reminder, today's payload does not consist of any newer optimized Starlink version 2 satellites, and as well as today's payload does not consist of any direct-to-cell satellites. These are the regular and basic version 2 mini variant of Starlink satellites. The Starlink satellites are built in Redmond, Washington. Today's payload consists of 24 Starlink version 2 mini satellites. Today's launch is the 70th dedicated Starlink mission of the year and the 289th dedicated Starlink launch in total. So it's just one away to reach the 219, and that will be getting accomplished with the upcoming Starlink launch from Cape Canaveral with the group 10-20. Before this launch, SpaceX has already sent up 1,710 Starlink satellites in 2025 alone, and with this one the count jumps to 1,734, which they already crossed the 1,500 mark, getting close to 2,000 mark for this year. Now, if we include the 22 version 3 variants launched on previous 3 Starship flights this year, then it's a total of 1,756 Starlink satellites launched this year. Really, we must agree that it's an incredible pace SpaceX is maintaining as of now. Each of these Starlink satellites having 5 advanced Ku-band phased array antennas, 3 dual-band parabolic antennas using Ka and E bands, and a dual solar array that spreads out to about 100 feet wide with a total surface area of 52.5 square meters. Not to forget, these 2 solar arrays are also aeroneutral, which enable faster on-orbit maneuvers. Each satellite is equipped, just a second, please excuse me. Each satellite is equipped with 3 space laser transmitters, also known as optical inter-satellite links, for intercommunications, communicating with space lasers moving data at speeds up to 200 Gbps. They make use of argon fueled Hall effect thrusters for in-orbit maneuvering, previously which was krypton based, And basically this switch was mainly due to the cost effectiveness Argon provides compared to Krypton. Now just a quick context, Amazon's Kuiper satellites are based on Krypton based Hall effect thrusters, whereas SpaceX is currently uh, using the Argon because of the cost effectiveness, as I said. Now, to put this in a context that why they switched to Argon, I'm talking about SpaceX from Krypton. Relative to Krypton, Argon required to fuel Starlink version 2 satellites will be practically free. To put it into perspective, fueling its constellation of almost 30,000 version 2 satellites could cost SpaceX less than fueling 4,000 only version 1 satellites, which were previously based on Krypton. Also, SpaceX claims that its second generation thrusters using Argon has 2.4 times the thrust and 1.5 times the specific impulse of the previous Krypton fuel thrusters. I hope this short context provided you a bit of more insight. Now, today's batch is going to be deployed initially in an orbit with an altitude of approximately 267 kilometers with an inclination of 97.61 degrees, but the operational orbit will be up around 560 kilometers with that same inclination, that is 97.61 degrees. Each version 2 mini satellite weighs around 1,763 pounds, equivalent to 800 kilograms. Now, just for the context again, each of the optimized version of the Starlink satellites, which SpaceX is launching recently, weighs around 1,268 pounds, which is equivalent to 575 kilograms, which is about 22% lighter than the original version 2 mini design, those satellites which are going to be launched today. Starlink satellite uses custom-built star tracker to find their position, altitude, and orientation for optimal broadband throughput, and each of these has 4 reaction wheels as well for precise attitude control. Additionally, these Starlink satellites have an onboard autonomous collision avoidance system that uses the US Department of Defense debris tracking database for avoiding collisions with space junk, other spacecraft, and other Starlink satellites, all autonomously. Now, to understand why an autonomous collision avoidance system is so important, here is a quick bit of context. SpaceX reported last year that the Starlink satellites carry about 275 collision avoidance maneuvers each single day. And in that previous 6 months leading up to that report, they performed around 50,000 such maneuvers. So I guess these reported numbers made you understand the criticality of an onboard autonomous collision avoidance system and put things into perspective. Now, just a quick fun fact. Recently, with May 4th, 2025 Starlink launch, SpaceX broke its own record by launching 29 version 2 mini optimized Starlink satellites, surpassing the previous high of 28. That was the biggest batch yet for version 2 mini variant. Whereas in comparison, the highest for version 1 is 60, and for the version 1.5, it's 56. Before today's launch, SpaceX launched 36 times of its optimized version 2 mini variant, bringing the total to 979 number of satellites. That's close to 1000 mark for the optimized version 2 mini variant. Once again, just to clarify, today's payload does not consist of any upgraded optimized Starlink version 2 minis or any direct-to-cell satellites on board. This batch features the regular baseline version 2 mini satellites. Now, I won't be getting into the details for the optimization being made, as because today's payload is not the optimized version 2. Now, Before moving on, I know guys it's still early in the stream, but just a quick request. If this stream fuels your love for space, give this stream a like. It helps the stream to get discovered by amazing space enthusiasts like you who are joining us right now. We would be super grateful for your kind support. Now please allow us a couple of seconds to check whether the launch is on time or not and to stay updated. As of now, it's on time. So that's a nice thing, no worries. Now let's take a look at the flight record for the booster supporting today's Starlink 17-4 mission. The booster with tail number 1093 supporting today's mission. A young booster, you can say, with only 4 previous flights in its record. All were previous 4 Starlink missions. And as of now, no other non-Starlink missions have been supported by this booster so far. Now waiting its 5th flight, just 31 minutes away from now. The booster's turnaround time as of today is 29 days. And today's mission will be the 5th consecutive launch of this booster from Pad Space Launch Complex 4 East, and will be its 5th landing on a drone ship to date. That is, of course, I Still Love You, supporting today's mission here at the West Coast. So that's all about the booster supporting today's mission. Now let's move ahead and take a look at the bar graph showing number of Falcon 9 launches each year. Before this upcoming launch, SpaceX completed its 97th Falcon 9 launch for this year, with the recent Kuiper Falcon 2 mission launch from Cape Canaveral on its, you can say, 5th attempt back on 11th of August 2025. SpaceX is now having 36 more than the launches made in the year 2022, an equal number of one more than the launches made in 2023. With today's launch of Starlink Group 17-4 mission, the bar graph shows 98 number of Falcon 9 launches for 2025. As of now, SpaceX is less than halfway to reach the number of launches made last year, that is in 2024. With today's Starlink launch, SpaceX will be 34 behind of 2024's total. Once again, SpaceX is again aiming for another record-breaking year with around 170 launches, surpassing their last year's highest annual launch count of 134 launches in total, including 2 Falcon Heavy missions. Although according to the current trend and their current launch cadence, hopefully they will pull it off this year. Now, just to remind you guys, SpaceX has hit some major milestone this year. The commercial GTO-1 launch marked the 500th successful Falcon 9 mission, while the June 12th Starlink launch from Vandenberg became the 500th overall successful mission for SpaceX. Then just a day later, on June 13th, the Cape Canaveral launch of Starlink, marked the first generation completion of the first generation of their direct-to-cell constellation. So back-to-back incredible achievements for SpaceX. Again, recently they hit their 100th launch for this year, and now close to the 100th launch of Falcon 9 for this year. So you can say quite a record-breaking year it is for SpaceX. Now, once again, I will be skipping the pre-launch timeline since it's a typical Falcon 9 launch for Starlink, with absolutely no deviation in any of the pre-launch event, but you can track the pre-launch timeline updating live on the upper left-hand side of your screen. However, there is one point I would like to highlight, just for quick knowledge, is nothing so much of significance, but there is a little bit of difference, and which you might be already aware of, that the strong back reclining process at Vandenberg is different from that at Cape Canaveral and Kennedy Space Center. Here at Vandenberg, we recline the strong back 13 degrees away, whereas at Cape Canaveral and Kennedy Space Center, we recline the strong back about a degree and a half or two from the Falcon 9. So that's the only difference in today's pre-launch schedule, as this is a Vandenberg flight. Once again, just to remind you, SpaceX is currently targeting a liftoff time of Falcon 9 from Vandenberg Space Force Base at 10:05 p.m. Pacific Time on Wednesday, August 13th, 1:05 a.m. Eastern Time on Thursday, August 14th of 2025. Having your support inspires us to push forward and give our best to meet what you hope for. If this stream really fuels your love for space, give this stream a like. It's kind of a fine tuning the trajectory of our mission to build a community with amazing space enthusiasts like you. And please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notification so that you won't miss a single launch update. Here at AstroYonder, we believe together we will build the ultimate space constellation of space enthusiasts. Would be super grateful to have you with us in our upcoming streams as well. Now, we are approximately 20 minutes away from the webcast to begin. Meanwhile, let's go through some of the details, and currently let's check out the trajectory for today's Starlink mission. Falcon 9 leaving the pad from Space Launch Complex 4 East from Vandenberg Space Force Base with the spacecraft on board. That is a batch of 24 Starlink satellites for a southwest trajectory, drifting away from the coast of Southern California, heading into a low Earth orbit. That is to the 17th shell of second generation Starlink mega constellation, indicated by that green line on your screen. The red line you see indicates where Falcon 9 first stage will land after stage separation, just a little later, leaving California's coast. This is going to be a off-the-land landing, a droneship landing, and today's mission is being supported by, of course, I Still Love You here at the West Coast. This will be the 145th successful droneship landing on, of course, I Still Love You, if all goes well. Now, some recovery specifics for you guys. The planned booster recovery is approximately 595 kilometers, with estimated fairing recovery approximately 650 kilometers downrange. And the stage 2 debris re-entry will be in the South Pacific Ocean on its second orbit. Now, speaking of droneship, on your screen here are some of the stats related to droneship as of today. Currently, we know there are 3 in SpaceX's droneship fleet. Of the 3, of course, I Still Love You is based here at California, and other 2 just read the instructions, and a shortfall of Gravitas are in Florida. We are still anticipating the addition of a 4th droneship, being optimistic as because SpaceX promised that earlier. But as of now, we are not getting any information regarding that, so I can't say specifically when that will be happening, but maybe possibly late this year, or who knows, early next year. While you guys check out the droneship stats, let me once again check if the liftoff is as scheduled. Yes, liftoff time is currently the same. No worries. So let's move on and let's discuss a little bit about fairing recovery. About fairing recovery, for today, SpaceX will utilize a recovery vessel like every other missions they are launching to retrieve the fairing halves from Pacific waters. The two halves of the payload fairing will be recovered slightly farther, approximately 55 kilometers downrange from where the first stage lands on the drone ship. Of course, I Still Loved You, after they will smoothly splash down with the guidance of parachutes. We know SpaceX manufactures this fairing in-house with a total cost of two halves is nearly $6 million. Quite obvious that SpaceX aims to recover these fairing halves for repetitive use, mirroring their approach with rocket boosters, upholding the motto of reusability and sustainability. Now you can see on your screen how a fairing recovery looks like. Although the recovery vessel on your screen is Doug performing the recovery operations, but today's recovery vessel is Go Beyond here at the Pacific. Other recovery vessels at the East Coast, Doug and Go Cosmos, are currently waiting for their next assignment, while Bob is preparing for the upcoming Starlink launch from Cape. If you feel like we are adding value to your viewing experience, please consider giving this stream a like. It's kind of a fuel for YouTube's algorithm rocket. So, so that it will bring some space lovers and help rocket fans discover this stream, helping others to join our community with amazing space enthusiasts like you. Your support would really inspire us to keep up with the hard work to meet your expectations. Now we are approximately, let me check, 10 minutes, 14 minutes away from the webcast to begin. So let's just quickly wrap up all the stats and insights we have for you to share with. Moving on to some stats related to today's mission launch. Today's launch marks the 526th SpaceX's overall launch and the 70th dedicated Starlink launch of this year. Also, it marks the 289th dedicated Starlink launch in total for SpaceX. This is going to be the 513th Falcon 9 launch to date. Fifth flight of this particular Falcon 9 booster supporting today's mission with tail number 1093 being in action after 29 days. Well, by that I mean the booster's turnaround time is 29 days. Today's mission marks the 98th Falcon 9 launch and SpaceX's 101st overall launch of 2025. This will be the 452nd Falcon booster reflight to date. That is the launch of a booster that has at least once flown before. With the previous Kuiper Falcon 2 mission, it was a new booster debuting, so it didn't get counted in this reflown booster. Now this launch also marks 140th orbital launch for SpaceX, launching from Space Launch Complex 4 East, and the 208th overall orbital launch from Pad Slick 4 East. With the success of this mission, SpaceX will have a remarkable 9,388 Starlink satellites, including 674 dedicated direct-to-cell satellites launched to date. Once again, just a reminder, back in June 13, 2025, with Starlink Group 12-26 launch from Cape Canaveral, SpaceX completed the first generation of their direct-to-cell constellation. Now moving on to some reusability statistics. This launch marks the 436th Falcon 9 booster reflight to date. This will be the 145th landing on, of course, I Still Love You droneship. 5th landing of this first stage booster with tail number 1093 supporting today's mission. And with this mission's first stage landing, SpaceX rack ups their 394th overall droneship landing, marking 467th Falcon 9 landing so far, and the 486th SpaceX's overall landing to date. Now, just a note here, we are not counting the landing failure on Just Read the Instruction droneship during the Starlink Group 10-20 mission this year, as it was a partial success. So you may notice there is a difference of 1 in the Falcon 9 and overall landing stats compared to what it is listed on SpaceX's website. So please don't get confused with these two stats for the landings for both the Falcon 9 and SpaceX's overall landing. Speaking of landing, here are some of the stats related to the landings made on droneship prior to today's mission. Today is the day for, of course, I Still Love You droneship, marking its 145th successful landings to date out of 152 overall landing attempts. But as prior to today's mission, it is having 144 successful landings out of 151 overall landing attempts with the recent Starlink Group 13-4 mission back in July 31st. Once again, please note that this droneship landing stats currently on your screen are excluding today's mission. These are prior to today's launch, just to clarify and not to make you confused. Now moving on, let's have a look into some key stats for SpaceX launches, specifically for 2025 this year. That includes this mission as well. With today's mission, SpaceX will be having their 101st launch of this year, and out of those, 70 are Starlink missions, including this one. 28 were non-Starlink missions for commercial and government organizations, and 3 Starship launches. 92 of these missions using a reuse booster, including today's one as well. Now, if we look into the geographical distribution for these launches, we get SpaceX is having 64 launches from East Coast, with 17 from Launch Complex 39A, that is from Kennedy Space Center, and 47 launches from Space Launch Complex, that is from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. On the West Coast, they will be having 34 launches with today's Starlink mission, that is from Space Launch Complex 4 East at Vandenberg Space Force Base in California. As of now, 3 launches from Gulf Coast at Starbase in Texas and 2 Super Heavy booster catches with Starship's 7th and 8th test flights. On Flight 9, no Super Heavy booster catch was attempted. Now, coming to some talks about Starship. According to current speculations, guess the Starship test flight will be no earlier than 22nd of August. and the window extends to 28th of August, which with launch window opening at 6:30 p.m. Central Day Time, according to the NOTAMs being issued to the local mariners. But this holds if everything goes as planned. Elon recent tweets also confirmed the tentative launch target. Also, he mentioned about his high hopes regarding the launch of Starship version 3 by this year end. And I guess you guys already checked out the post from SpaceX on X, providing us a glimpse of the version 3 of Starship, also the grid fins for the starships, which are making quite a significant difference from the current which are used in Starship version 2 flights. Also in the upcoming Starship version 3, there will be 3 grid fins for the Starship booster instead of 4 as of now, which we are using, and that will be helping them to catch the booster in a more efficient way. Meanwhile, Ship 37's single engine and all 6 engine static fire went all good. Now just some final testing phase and we'll be good to go for the launch. Now getting back to today's mission details again. For landings, they will be nailing it for the 96th time this year. Most of the landings are on droneship with 84 landings. Today, of course, I Still Love You will mark its 29th landing for this year. As of now, a shortfall of Gravitas and of course I Still Love You, both of them will be having the same number of landings being made on them this year, that is 29 times. For ground landings, they pulled off 11 of them, and recently landing zone 1 had its 6th landing for this year and 53rd in total. That marked the last landing on landing zone 1 for SpaceX. SpaceX mentioned that they will be continue the landing operation on the return to launch site, also known as RTLS operations, with the landing zone 2. But previously, it was speculated that the lease for landing zone 1 and landing zone 2 was on the verge to expire back in the month of July. Hope they modified the lease. And currently, SpaceX is also working on adding a landing pad at the East Coast. And I guess it will be a single landing zone, unlike now where we have 2 of them. In that case, landing zone 2 also will be get inoperative. Now we are just 3 minutes away from the webcast to begin, so let's just wrap up some of the leftover stats we have for you. Prior to today's launch, the success rate for ground landings is 98.92%. For drone ship landing, it is 97.04%, and the overall landing success rate is 97.39%. This year, the landing success rate dropped to 98.96% due to the failure of booster with tail number 1086 to successfully land on Just Read the Instructions drone ship during Starlink Group 12-20 mission, and that for same reason we excluded that landing count in our stats for Falcon 9 landing and SpaceX's overall landing, which I mentioned you previously. Today's mission is 162nd launch since last mission failure, that is Starlink Group 9-3 mission. Now just to highlight you that most of the launches in a calendar quarter to date is 46 launches, including 1 Starship launch, is in the second quarter of 2025, which was previously 42 launches, which included 2 Starship launches in the fourth quarter of 2025. So this indicates that the current increase in launch cadence for SpaceX, which the milestone which they achieved last year on the fourth quarter, they already achieved that in the second quarter of this year. Moving on, this page of stats are also prior to today's launch, and what we have is 161 successful launches since last mission failure, 71 successful landings since last landing failure, booster with tail number 1067, the star booster, having highest number of flights and successful landings, that is 29 times, 370 missions with at least one reused fairing, and approximately 708 number of fairing halves were reused prior to today's launch, with the fairing half reused to reach a maximum of 32 times being reused. We are just 1 minute away from the webcast. Moving to this year's orbital launches, we have this pie chart including this mission as well. This mission will mark the 179th orbital launch of this year, and with that, United States is leading with 115 launches with 64.2% share of the overall orbital launches made in this year. Also, a point worth mentioning, Australia made their debut with the first launch, which marked the first Australian made Ares rocket on its test flight to launch from its own country's soil. Although the flight lasted for 14 seconds around, but that marked a major milestone for Australian space program. Now moving on to this year's orbital launches by rocket variations, including this launch as well. Falcon 9 is currently gearing up for its 98th launch. Now while you guys check out the pie chart, let me check if the stream is rolling or not, as it's time for the webcast to begin. So yes, it's live. That's quite on time. Please allow me a couple of seconds to set up the stream for you guys. Don't worry, you are not missing out anything. Currently, SpaceX is playing some pre-launch tunes. Once again, just a request, adding value to your viewing experience is our top priority here at AstroYonder. If you felt we somewhat achieved that, please consider liking this stream. It helps others to find out this stream as well. Also consider subscribing to our channel as we work hard to bring you streams packed with stats, details, and insights. Those tiny taps on your screen and your kind support would really inspire us and to keep up with our hard work to meet your expectations. We would really be incredibly grateful for your kind encouragement. So currently SpaceX is playing these pre-launch tunes. Once the webcast begin, I will patch in the mission audio feed so that you won't miss out those comms out there.
Falcon 9 tanks are pressurizing for strong back retract.
So there we go. We have the live feed of the Falcon 9, although I am barely able to see the Falcon 9, quite foggy out there and night as well. We heard the call out that the strong back, tanks are pressurizing for the strong back retract. So next event will be the retraction of the strong back away from the Falcon 9. Currently, we will be adding a little bit of gas to firm up the tanks so that the clamp arms just underneath the payload fairing can open up with a solid structure holding the Falcon 9. Unfortunately, it's a nighttime launch and quite foggy out there at Vandenberg, we won't be getting those close-up views, although still SpaceX is trying to give us the best possible views, but it's completely fog out there. But let it be, we will have the good views for the launch as well, at least. But once the arms underneath the payload fairing, those clamp arms, open up, we start reclining the strong back about 13 degrees away from the Falcon 9, since this is a Vandenberg flight. As I mentioned before, at Cape Canaveral, or you can say Kennedy Space Center, or the East Coast flight, we recline the strong back about a degree and a half or two away from the Falcon 9. Now, while we are watching this live view of Falcon 9, unfortunately, we can't even distinguish where the Falcon 9 is there out of that fog formed there to Vandenberg Space Force Base. A couple of important steps were completed. The spacecraft team switched to the internal power a few minutes ago. Fueling of the Falcon 9 first stage is finished, meaning all the RP-1 propellant is now on board. We are still loading the liquid oxygen on both the first and second stages, and just now we got the call out stage 1 LOX load is complete. Soon we'll be getting in couple of minutes the call out for LOX load completion for the second stage, and that will be happening around T minus 2 minute mark. Currently we are 2 minutes T minus 2 minutes 18 seconds and counting. The range continues to be green and the weather is currently supporting us. Again, if for some reason we do not have the launch today, we do have a backup opportunity tomorrow. That is on Thursday, August 14th, if we consider the specific time. If we consider the Eastern time, it might can reach to August 15th.
Stage 2 LOX load is complete.
So there we go. We got a call out. Stage 2 LOX load is complete, meaning all the propellant are now on board the Falcon 9 with complete 1 million pounds of propellant. We are now beginning to vent down the pressure that was remaining in the tubing for the strong back. Hopefully we will get those views for to see. No, we are not getting even that view where we see those clouds coming out there, which indicates that a launch is heading our way. Next event, T minus 1 minute. We got the call out right on time that the computers on both the stages are running the rocket to the last minute of count. So let's listen to the go call out from launch director now.
LD is go for launch.
Finally, we got the call out being made by launch director of SpaceX giving go for the launch. We are getting close to T minus 30 seconds. All system continues to remain go for the launch of Falcon 9 and Starlink for group 17-4. So now let's sit back and enjoy the liftoff view.
T minus 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. And liftoff of Falcon 9. Go SpaceX, go Starlink.
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
We had a successful liftoff. Falcon 9 cleared the tower successfully. We got some callouts, healthy callouts. Also, propulsion is nominal. Stage 1 propulsion is nominal. We are getting T plus 38 seconds into the flight. Falcon 9 is on its way with 24 Starlink satellites to low Earth orbit.
Falcon 9 power and telemetry are nominal.
Some more healthy callouts, power and telemetry both are nominal. Currently we are into the throttle bucket. We are now throttling down the 9 Merlin engines as we prepare for the period of maximum dynamic stress coming up. We got the call out for Mark 1 on the Falcon 9. That vehicle is now faster than the speed of sound as we have gone supersonic. Max Q call out there. We are through the period of maximum dynamic stress on the vehicle currently. We have throttled the 9 Merlin engines back up to full power again. Next call out we are expecting for the MVAC engine chill. Although due to the there we go, we got the call out. Right now we started to chill down the MVAC engine on the second stage prior to its ignition just after stage separation coming up. So next up we will be having 3 events in rapid succession: the shutdown of main engine on first stage, that is main engine cutoff, also known as MECO, followed by stage separation and ignition of the second stage MVAC engine SES-1 that will boost the payload into low Earth orbit. So let's listen into those callouts there. What I was mentioning, due to the fog out there at Vandenberg, we didn't got much good views before the liftoff as well during the liftoff.
Main engine cut off.
Stage separation confirmed.
And back ignition.
We just got the callouts for all the back-to-back milestones: main engine cutoff, stage separation, and MVAC ignition. Right now you can see those hypersonic titanium grid fins to slowly begin deploying on the first stage. Next up is fairing separation callout.
Fairing separation confirmed.
We got a call out there that the fairing has successfully separated. As it's a nighttime view, we won't be getting good views from both the stages, but currently we are getting views from the onboard cam on both the stages. Falcon 9's first stage continues under the guidance of grid fins and gravity as it descends back to Earth. Now, the Falcon 9 first stage will rise towards the apogee before descending back to the landing site, that is on droneship Of Course I Still Love You, stationed in Pacific Ocean. And that apogee you can monitor on the bottom left hand side of your screen. Currently the altitude is 116. It's still fluctuating. Let's see how high it can reach, and that will mark the apogee for today's Falcon 9's first stage. Second stage meanwhile is in middle of its 6-minute burn, is on its way into the parking orbit. I guess the apogee for Falcon 9's first stage is 117 kilometers because the telemetry is stuck for a while at that point. 117, yes, 117 kilometers apogee for the Falcon 9's first stage before it descends back towards Earth for its landing. Next milestone in today's flight we are looking for is the start of stage 1 entry burn. Now meanwhile, just a reminder, we previously saw group 14 being skipped entirely, with SpaceX jumping straight to group 15. It's the same with group 17, where they skipped the group 16 entirely, moving on with the group 17 launches. And as I previously mentioned in the very inception of today's stream, it marks the 5th Starlink mission to
Continue to follow a nominal trajectory.
Today's mission also marks the 5th Starlink mission to Sun-Synchronous orbit inclination, with the first being Starlink Group 17-1 launch in over 2 years, following Group 3-5 launch back in 2023. Previously, we had 5 launches under Group 3, each deploying 46 numbers of version 1.5 Starlink satellites to a Sun-Synchronous orbit at an altitude of 560 kilometers with an inclination of 97.6 degrees. Similarly, today, Group 17-4 mission will target a near
1 FTS is safe.
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
we got the call out stage 1 entry burn startup. We just lit 3 of those 9 Merlin 1D engines on the first stage. Now we are rapidly slowing down the vehicle, and you can notice that from the bottom left hand side of your screen from the telemetry. Stage 1 entry burn shut down, and that burn lasted just around 23 seconds. Now next up we will be having the stage 1 landing burn. Now as I was mentioning, with today's Starlink-4 mission, they will again target a near polar orbit with same inclination of 96.161 degrees with an altitude of 560 kilometers, similar like the previous ones. And just to give you an update on the previous 13-4 group 13-4 launch, that also targeted the same Sun-Synchronous orbit with the same inclination as of today. We had 2 classified payloads also present on that mission, identified as USA 549 and 550
2 FTS is safe.
by US government. So we got the call out stage 2 FTS being saved. That means the stage 2 is up with its orbital insertion burn. Next up is the landing burn. Well, Ron Green, thanks for tuning in. Today we are not getting views. What to do? It's a nighttime launch, and we got the confirmation call out for landing burn. We are now slowing down the Falcon 9 more rapidly with center E9 engine now lit. Landing legs deployed.
Stage 1 landing confirmed.
And there we have it. A successful 467th landing of an orbital class Falcon 9 rocket. Coming up next, we will have the second stage engine cutoff, that is SECO 1. And following that event, second stage with payload on board will enter into nearly 46 minutes of course phase as vehicle ascends to its target orbit for the payload deployment.
Nominal park orbit insertion.
We got the call out for nominal orbit insertion, but we got the visual confirmation for SECO 1, that is MVAC engine to shut down. Now about payload deployment, that will be happening at approximately T plus 1 hour, 3 minutes and 7 seconds. So that's all for today's Starlink Group 7-4 launch. Today's launch marks SpaceX's 426th successful mission launch, with landing marking their 486th success, which also marked the 289th dedicated Starlink launch. So with that, we will wrap up our coverage for now. But before that, want to thank you for tuning in to our launch coverage. It is really impossible to do this broadcast without you and your encouragement. So a heartfelt thanks to you and all of others joining us for your continued support of what we do here at AstroYonder. Please be sure to check out our upcoming streams and also to check out our social media handle on X for the latest happenings in space industry and updates on upcoming launches. I hope you enjoyed the stream and I could add some value to your viewing experience. We appreciate everyone joining us for today's launch. Once again, thanks for watching. This is AstroYonder Live and me, Dipta, signing off for now. and we will see you on our next launch coverage. Wishing you a happy week ahead.